Well, hi everybody. This is Sports Talk on HCAM. I'm Brian Destoop along with Alex Vogel and Joe Pransky. It's Super Bowl week, so the big game's in 2 days from now. This is Friday when we record the show, so it should be interesting to see who's going to win. And then the NFL season's over, and baseball will be starting up. So when NFL is over, you got 2 or 3 weeks till pitchers and catchers and spring training gets underway.
From right now, it's a month.
Next month?
Right now. Yeah, like right now.
This month, right, in February.
Like 1 month from right now.
Right. So I know Joe is very excited about spring training, loves baseball. So some things happened since our last show. A big one was Rondo going down. He's out for the year. The Celtics come back and beat the Heat, and they actually won the other night, I think Wednesday night too. So they're playing tonight. So again, it's interesting to see every night how they do. They're playing the Magic tonight without Rondo. And so a guy I thought they should go after was Rudy Gay. I thought he'd be a good player. He was a lot of money, but I think that he's a younger version. He's 26. He'd be a good small forward, and I would have traded Pierce. Rudy Gay goes to Toronto in a trade. So I was very surprised with that Toronto was willing to make that move. So last week on the show, one of the segments we did was what we thought on if the Celtics should trade away Pierce and Garnett and blow up the team. And in the standings, not much has changed since our last airing. The Celtics are still 8th. They still got a pretty good lead above Philadelphia for the last playoff spot. If the season were in today, the Celtics would be playing Miami in a 7-game series. But without Rondo, I think it makes things more interesting. So, Joe, how do you think the Celtics are now without Rondo, and how they're going to do from now on?
I don't really know that much about Celtics that much.
What do you think, Alex?
I think it's going to be a little bit tougher for the Celtics with Rondo out, and I think they may have to trade Pierce or Garnett to get someone better for them.
Yeah, look, this is the way I said. I said last week, you play for a championship. And you know what? If you're a young, upcoming team, like we saw a couple of years ago, Oklahoma City was the 8th seed. They played the Lakers, and they gave them a run for their money. They were a young team, and they've developed into one of the best teams in the league. For me, that's when an 8 seed's good. Okay, we made the playoffs. We're building towards. Now next year, let's try to get to the second round and get a higher seed. But when you have won a championship, you've made Eastern Conference Finals 3 times, you've made it to the finals twice, you don't try to regress. You don't, like in any sport. If you're in hockey, you don't want to go from the 3rd seed, make it to the second round, to the 8th seed, making it to the 8th seed, making it one and done. So in any sport, you want to do that. So you got to try to progress. So the Celtics are regressing. They lost their best player. It's time definitely to move on, like we were saying last week. Because I just don't see this team. I know they've won a couple games, but I don't see this team going into Miami in a 7-game series and winning. I can't see that happening with all the talent Miami has with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. I can't see that happening. So that's what happened in the week. Also, the Bruins played a lot of games in the week. They won all of them except last night's game against Buffalo, which was an interesting 7-4 loss. But I thought they played well to start the season. So I want to get Joe's thoughts on all the games, not just last night. I know that's the one that's freshest in your mind, but since Friday of last week until now.
Yeah, our passing isn't really that great right now. We need to work on passing a lot, and we have great goaltending right now, besides for last night's game, which I don't even know what happened that game. They just weren't trying, and they were, I guess. And we've been doing pretty well so far. We still need to stay up there and keep working hard to get a championship this year.
Okay,
hopefully we do get that.
Alex, how do you think they've done so far since our last show?
Well, I'm with Joe. They do really have to practice on their passing, and the goaltending's been good, but also they have to deal with the power play. All I've seen mainly has been passing, not many shots.
Yeah.
That's it. I noticed that a lot about the Bruins and their power play. is I feel they do pass a lot. They've always done that. They've done that since they won the Cup. They are a passive team. They look, I think, for the perfect shot instead of trying to just get shots on net, maybe rebounds go in. I saw some good things out of the power play last night. I thought a couple times it was early in the second period. Bergeron was behind the net. They found Lucic right in front of the net, and he shot it on net, but that was good. Right in front of the net, in the slot, and it was a great shot. That's the opportunity that they needed the power play. This week, I thought they did some good things. They played a really good game with the Islanders, a great third period. They were playing very good. They were winning against Carolina. Antoine Hudobin, the backup, I thought he did pretty good.
Yeah.
But they only have 3 goals. Bruins get down. They come back. I think it was Krejci or Horton that scored the game-winning goal.
Horton. That was Horton.
I remember Horton scored one that was just beautiful on a breakaway. I think it was like a toe drag, crossed over top shelf. It was beautiful. And then they scored late, and they were able to win. They won 5-3. That was a great game. You're losing, but you come back. And then they have a game against the Devils, where this is more like a grinder game. It's 1-0 for a long time with the Devils in the lead. And you come back and you score. Overtime comes, no one does thing, and then shootout, you win a shootout. That's a grinder of a win for that team. That was really good. And then Friday night, it was good until the third period, I thought, with them. Things fell apart. Guys were around the net, no defenders there. It was tough. And they lost. Tuukka didn't play a great game, which I want to get... Joe was telling me Wednesday that he goes, "Oh, Brian, I'm gonna say, like, how do you feel about Tuukka now?" Because Tuukka was playing great. And then last night happened. So, do you still want to say that, Joe?
No.
Do you still have faith in him, though?
Yeah.
Everybody's a bad game.
Yeah, I still have faith in him.
Chicago and San Jose in the West have had great starts. It's kind of around the league. If one of you guys wants to pull up overall standings in the NHL, that'd be good.
I got it.
All right, so can you go to the Western Conference standings?
Oh, conference?
Yeah.
I'm going to have that.
I know Chicago, they played a great game against the Minnesota Wild, which the Wild is a team, personally, I think are going to make a pretty good run to the playoffs. So right now, we have San Jose and Chicago, I think are the 2 teams to make deep runs, 1 and 2. I could see them reversing. And Minnesota's around the 5th seed. But these are going to change. Vancouver. Luongo's been playing good. There's been trade rumors about Roberto Luongo.
Yeah.
I know Philly needs a goalie. Brizgalov hasn't got it done for them, I don't think. And they've been interested in a goalie. And right now, it's early. But I think personally that it's funny. Corey Schneider was playing good last year, but now it's Luongo. And Luongo has been in trade talks since the season ended last year. So I'm interested to see how Vancouver's going to do if they're going to try to keep Luongo now that he's playing at such a high level. Because I think he didn't play great ever since the Bruins won the Stanley Cup, but he's playing good now. If he can get back to what he was, I think that it will be very good for Vancouver. But anyway, so I was thinking over the week, and I'm like, the Bruins can make a cup run. I want to get you guys' thoughts right now. I think the Bruins can make a cup run. I know it's early, but what you've seen, can they go at least to the conference finals?
To me, yeah, it's possible for them to make it to the conference finals. What about you, Joe?
Well, I think it's really early in the season, so it's hard to tell right now because we could just go straight downhill. But we probably could make it right now if we play like we're doing right now, because we're playing like we do in playoffs, or like we're playing hard against a team, or at least before Thursday's game. So
I definitely, I think they can make a deep cup run. I think they're playing good. They've got the core of their Stanley Cup team back, which they didn't have last year in the playoffs, and they ended up losing to Washington. So I think this team can make a cup run. Absolutely. I think they could get home ice. It's just that when you get in, you got to take care of your divisional opponents. Ottawa right now is tied with us.
Yeah.
So when you play Ottawa, you've got to take those games from them. Because what if Ottawa stays consistent the whole year? And as we know in the NHL, Ottawa and Boston could be the top 2 teams overall, but Boston would fall to 4. They would get on home ice in one playoff series, but that could be the difference. They wouldn't get 2 because of same division. So you have to take care of teams in your division. They obviously lost to Buffalo. They got a game against Toronto coming up. I know that Saturday. They have Montreal on Wednesday. So you got to beat your divisional opponents. That's very key for the Bruins. And the other team, so we should have done this before, but like I said, it was a long time on our first show, before Alex even got here. It was our first show, and me and Joe were doing some preseason hockey stuff.
Yeah.
But we hadn't watched hockey since May or June when the Kings won the Stanley Cup. So it was tough for us to judge preseason Stanley Cup picks. So now I want to get all three of us. It's early. I want to get our Stanley Cup predictions of the two teams that will be there. So this time, let's start with Alex.
I'm not sure. It's pretty early, but I'm kind of hoping for the Islanders with the Predators, Nashville.
So you're gonna pick those two?
Yeah.
All right, Joe. What do you think the Stanley Cup will be? Stanley Cup playoffs. The Stanley Cup final. Excuse me.
I think the St. Louis Blues are going to make it, and probably the Devils again, second time in a row.
Well, from the West, I like Chicago. The way they started was great. I think that team has an enormous amount of talent. That it's going to be tough for. I just think they won a Stanley Cup a couple of years ago, and to me, it's like, how do they not get to at least the conference finals every year? Because I think they're so talented with Jonathan Toews and Marian Hossa and Patrick Sharp and Patrick Kane, and then Brent Seabrook on defense along with Duncan Keith. That team has so much talent and a lot of offensive talent. It's like, how do they not get there every year? They're a great team. This year, I think they've really started to figure things out, but it looks like San Jose has too. But every time they've got there, they've choked. And they haven't got... A couple of years ago when the Bruins won the Cup and Vancouver played San Jose wasn't able to get over that hump to get to the Stanley Cup. And last year they had a little more of a down year. I don't know if they could necessarily do it this year. But I think they'll be there again. They've started out great. I think St. Louis is a really good young team. And I like Minnesota too with their additions of Parise and Ryan Suter, who have brought instant success. That team got to see go to the conference finals. And they played a great game against Chicago the other night. I don't know if any of you guys saw it or saw any of the highlights of it. That was a great hockey game. It came down to the shootout. If that team gets into a playoff series, I'm going to say it right now, it would just be a great hockey series. 7 games if those two teams play. So look, I know it's early, but the West I'm picking Chicago. In the East, it's tough. And I'm not trying to be a homer, but the way the Bruins have started this year has reminded me of the Stanley Cup team.
Yeah.
But I still think the Rangers can turn things around. And I think a team who's scary is Pittsburgh, with Sidney Crosby back. I mean, Joe, are you scared of Sidney Crosby of getting Malkin together playing again?
Not really. I've looked at Crosby's stats, and it wasn't as good as before. He hasn't really doing that well. So, but I am still afraid of him because, well, he is he's like the best player in NHL. So, yeah, I think he could come back and do better.
What do you think, Alex?
I would be pretty afraid because Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby are probably two of the best offensive players in the game right now.
Yeah, definitely. I think with Sidney Crosby healthy, that's good for them too. And I think that helps that team. That'll help them. They played a great series against Philadelphia last year that was close. Philly was better at the time because they didn't have Crosby. They got James Neal too. I think Crosby actually was back. I'm sorry. Last year, do you remember if he was back? He was. I'm pretty sure he was. So that's my bad. But I fear them. So let's actually go into this right now. We're going to do a little more hockey before we go into Super Bowl stuff because it is Super Bowl week. But I just want to go, what teams fear you if you're the Bruins? Like Washington last year was able to beat them. What team fears you the most that could knock off the Bruins early?
Buffalo, but they're not doing so well right now, so if they get better, they could probably get up there and probably beat us out of the playoffs if they get to it.
What do you think, Alex?
Buffalo and Pittsburgh are probably the two teams that I would be most afraid of for the Bruins.
All right, I know it's early, but I'm always afraid of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. And I can see the Rangers, too. It's early, but I thought that would be kind of like a fun thing to throw out there because playoffs will be here before you know it. January's already over. It's gonna be. February's gonna fly. March, April, then we're gonna have playoffs in April. It's gonna fly. So that's how we're gonna end our hockey stuff. So I want to go into the Super Bowl stuff now, as it is Super Bowl week. We have the Ravens and 49ers in the Super Bowl. Randy Moss, who knows, maybe he'll retire after this year. He came back. He's going to try to win his first Super Bowl and finish off his legacy. He thinks he's the greatest wide receiver of all time. People would argue that. I think Jerry Rice. But so I want to see what you guys think is your what are the things you're looking forward into this year, this Super Bowl for Sunday? Start with Alex.
I think it's gonna be a big, a good match between the San Fran.
That's the second straight week in a row we've had a computer that makes weird noise. So that. Okay, I have no idea what this is. I guess we're gonna.
1 second.
Well,
there we go.
That was our awkward moment of the show. So we'll continue.
All right, so I would be mainly afraid with San Fran, the run game that they've been doing, but also for the defense of the Baltimore Ravens. San Fran has actually beaten basically some of the best defenses with the run game. It is probably one of the hardest things to stop. So that's one thing that the Ravens are going to have to watch for.
What do you think, Joe?
Well, I'm looking forward to the commercials the most. So, I think I feel like the 49ers are going to do pretty well and hopefully beat the Ravens. Because, I'm kind of like one of those guys who, if our team loses to the team that gets into the Super Bowl in the playoffs, then I don't want them to win.
I think a lot of people around New England are probably rooting for the 49ers. I am too. I do not want the Ravens to win. I've never personally been a fan of the Ravens and players on their team.
Yeah.
I've never been a Ravens fan. I know some of the Ravens, they talk, like the end of the Patriots game. Never been a Ravens fan. But what I'm looking forward to in this game is the Ravens defense has played very well in this postseason. They've given up, I think, over 300 yards every passing or something every game. There was some stat I heard. But they've given up a good amount of yards, but it seems like they're playing a lot better. I mean, and that's what if they can, the thing is like some of the guys were older, Ray Lewis and stuff. They've played the same type of quarterbacks every week. Andrew Luck, he can move, but he's a pocket guy. Then Peyton Manning, pocket guy, Brady. So I think that they can handle that a little better because he stands at the pocket. They can come off the edge and rush him. Kaepernick can run. What if he's an option play? I mean, can those defensive linemen get off the edge and tackle him? Can they get there? I don't know necessarily if they can. So I'm interested to see that. I'm interested to see how does Colin Kaepernick handle the pressure of the game. You know what I mean? Because he did good in the playoffs, but this is the Super Bowl. And young quarterbacks who have made the Super Bowl, Brady handled it great in his first one. So I'm interested to see how he'll handle it, being such a young guy, not even playing a full season. What do you guys think on how Kaepernick will handle the pressure of playing in the Super Bowl? Start with Alex.
Well, I think he might. I think it's possible they might crack under the pressure in the first, but after a while, I think he'll get used to it and start doing better.
I can see that too. What do you think, Joe?
Well, he said that he's gonna try to play it like an actual game, like a regular exhibition game. So I think that he's gonna be trying to work it out a little better.
I think it will be. I think that obviously it's gonna be jitters. You're second-year guy. You're young. You don't start the whole season, and your team's in the Super Bowl. That's crazy. You think about it. And you have to play at such a young age, and you have to play so mature, and this is the biggest game of your life. So it's going to be crazy. I think he'll play good, though. I think he's a good player. I think he'll be a very good player for years to come. Will be the franchise quarterback of San Francisco. I think that they could very well be in this situation for many years to come. I think he's a great player, and they have great young defensive players. So now, Joe Flacco's been around since 2008, and he's handled the pressure in the playoffs very well every year. In his first year, he took the team to the AFC Championship. His second year, they made it to the second round. His third year, they made it to the second round. His fourth year, they made it to the AFC Championship again. And his fifth year, they are in the Super Bowl. So he hasn't played the Super Bowl, but he's played good in big games. In this playoff run, I think he's played very good. So, like we did for Kaepernick, let's start with Alex. How do you think Flacco will handle the pressure of playing in the Super Bowl?
I think Flacco will do better because he has more experience, and he's been playing around longer, and he has, I believe he's gone to the Super Bowl once. So he knows what the pressure is and everything else like that.
Okay, what do you think, Joe?
Personally, I think Flacco's going to crash this game, but I think he's going to do better than Kaepernick though. So. Yeah.
Okay, this is another thing I wanted to talk about. Ray Lewis with his team has amped his team up, and people have been saying that's helped this Ravens team go through this playoff run. It's his presence. And he's playing great in the playoffs. Do you believe in that? You think he takes his team to another level just by being there?
Yeah.
Would you say that?
Yeah.
I definitely think so too. I don't want to get into the whole steroid thing that's going on. I don't really want to get into a big conversation about that. That's obviously there's a report that came out, but we're not going to get too much not into that at all. Just like we weren't going to get into the whole Harbaugh versus Harbaugh thing.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk much about that, even though that was another big Super Bowl storyline. I definitely think that, like I said before, he gets that team up, and that's what's got this playoff run. But I just think that this is different. This team's good. San Francisco, I think, is better than any of the teams they've played. San Francisco, even though I picked Green Bay to beat them, that game proved to me how good Kaepernick is. So I think that San Francisco will play a great game. And even though I think the Ravens will be amped up, they'll be ready for this one. And it's been a long time since it's been 12 years since Ray Lewis won that last one. So definitely was going to be amped up. As Joe said, he's looking forward to the commercials. I can say, they're not bad. But and Alex, you look forward to any commercials?
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be it's always an interesting part of the Super Bowl. So, Ray Rice, I think he's a great player, and I'm interested to see how he's going to play and what the defense will do for him. I think if I'm the Ravens, I'm planning to have a big game for Ray Rice. I'm going to try to use him a lot. And I'm also going to try to use the long ball like they did against Denver. If I'm the offensive coordinator, you're playing in a dome. There's no weather. Flacco has a great arm. I want to see early, hey, what is the San Francisco, what is the secondary? What can they do? Can I throw it deep down the field a lot, or am I going to have to not? They're going to try to take that away. Obviously, it worked against Denver. And the Patriots, the wind definitely kind of interfered. It wasn't as much on the long ball in that game. I wonder what's going to happen is, how much time will Flacco have to throw the ball? Alden Smith and Justin Smith, will they be sacking Joe Flacco all game? Will Flacco be on the ground? I mean, they have to try to stop Alden Smith, but there's so many weapons on that defense, it's going to be very tough for interesting for the offensive line to stop all of them. With Justin Smith back, he helps Alden Smith. I think Alden Smith could definitely get around the edge and hit Flacco. So I'm just interested to see, can they stop him? Can they have time to throw? If they don't, I think it could be a long day. So I'm interested to see that. I'm also interested to see how the passing game will go with Ray Rice. I want if they're going to do some screen plays and stuff, because it seems like it's always worked for them. So I just want to get something right here of just any overall thoughts of the Super Bowl, any memories or anything you guys have had personally, games, Super Bowls that are your favorites since we've all been alive and that we've watched. So I want to start with Jill on this. Any particular memory you like?
Well, I have to say this first, that I have to ask a question to you guys. How do you guys feel about the Sandy Elementary people chorus singing the God Bless America before the Super Bowl.
I think that's pretty good for memory of what happened there, and it's really nice what NFL has done.
Same. I think it's a great thing. I think it's showing stuff as a country of the tragedy and obviously what happened. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully those kids enjoy it, and just bring some smiles on people's faces for it. Definitely, I think it's a good thing.
Yep. Me too.
So you have do you have a Super Bowl memory as we were saying in general or anything really?
I'm really too tired right now to think about this. Think about like the past and all that stuff. So, but thinking back, one of the best things I think that happened for the Super Bowl for me was when Tom Brady came in during the Super Bowl. Came in from Bledsoe getting injured. That was pretty strong for the Patriots fans, and like how he just came, backup QB just came in and won the Super Bowl for the Patriots.
Alex, you got a memory?
The only memories I have are from the commercials because those are really all that I can remember.
Personally, I don't remember much of their first Super Bowl win. I do remember the second one. I was in kindergarten. And the third one, I was in first grade. I remember I was a little kid. I was like 5 when they won the second Super Bowl. And I remember how close it was. And I remember we were going down the field to kick the field goal and how nervous I was. My feet were cold. That's what happens when I'm watching a game for a team I'm rooting for and I get really nervous. So my feet were cold, and I just remember that one. And I remember them going to kick the field goal. And it was me and my dad, my mom, my grandfather watching that game. And it was very cool. I was such a young, and I remember watching that one. I remember watching the one next year. I remember when they beat the Eagles, and I still remember in both Super Bowls, I remember seeing Mike Vrabel catch both touchdown passes. And I'll always remember those. Those were cool, and I remember those wins. And obviously, you can't forget, they're not memories, but the Patriots lost to the Giants. Those were tough. So those were good ones. I also remember when the Saints won. I thought that was really cool with Drew Brees and everything that happened there. I thought I was at the time, I thought it was good. I really liked it. So we're coming close to the end of our show here. We got about a little under 3 minutes left. So I think it's time to pick the big game. Let's start with Joe for his pick of the Super Bowl and a score.
Well, I think that the 49ers are going to win 24-17. Yeah. Just throwing a number out there.
What do you think?
I'm going with the Ravens because their run game, not the Ravens, the 49ers because their run game has been really good, and I'm going with a 21-17 game.
I've picked against the Ravens every week except for the wild card weekend. I picked the Broncos and I picked the Patriots, and I'm going to do it again. You got to go by for me, it's who's the better team. I think San Francisco is a better team. I really do. I think that the Ravens will play very good in the first half. I think we'll be pretty close. I just see middle of the third quarter, throughout the fourth, San Francisco pulling away. I'm going to give it a 38-24 score for the 49ers to win. I just think Kaepernick's going to play very good. Might be a little nervous at first, but he'll play good. And I think this is just a better team. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, what really happens in the game. But I just think this is overall a better football team. So we got a good amount of Bruins games coming up till our next show.
Yeah.
A couple big ones, obviously, with Toronto, divisional team, and Montreal, big rivalry game. Should be interesting to see how Montreal plays. Last year they weren't that good, but there's been some great games in the sense.
There's just 2 Bruins games from now to for the next time.
Yeah, two big ones though. So so we have a Facebook page now, or what is it a page or a group?
It's a page and group.
It's a page and group. It's Sports Show on HCAM.
Yes, the group is Sports Show on HCAM, and the page is Sports Talk Show on HCAM.
Yep. So you guys heard that. So
I think I messed that up a couple times.
If you watch it, if you watch the show and you want to know more about us, go to that. This has been HCAM's. This has been Sports Talk on HCAM for this week. I We'll see you next time.
Yep. Bye.